Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts College Football Podcast, your ticket to all things college football. Are you looking to get your college football fix? Looking to get the latest news on your favorite school's team? Join us as we talk college football from the national championship to college rivalries to bowl games to the Heisman Trophy to which conference is the best. We've got you covered for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything in between.
What is up? Welcome into the GSMC Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Dougherty. This is the college football edition of the GSMC Football Podcast. It is also a little bit of draft review, draft rewind, round one rewind here at the GSMC Podcast Network. We're still a little bit in the college football realm of things, even though all of our favorite college football players are now being selected to go to their respective teams in the National Football League. We had round one of that draft, the NFL draft, yesterday. It was a doozy. We had Baker Mayfield. What did I say, folks? Cleveland takes Baker Mayfield, number one overall from Oklahoma, the two-time walk-on Heisman Trophy winner. Is not the newest Cleveland Brown. The newest Cleveland Brown is actually their second pick in the first round. We'll get to that in a second, but he was their first pick, the first pick of the 2018 NFL Draft. Mayfield going to the Browns, the quarterback. It was going to be Sam Darnold, then it was Josh Allen, then 2 days ago now the reports came out that they were going to pick Baker Mayfield. Apparently John Dorsey knew 2 months ago or 7 weeks ago, whatever, that he was going to pick whoever he knew who he was going to pick, and ended up, I guess he knew it was going to be Baker 7 weeks ago. There was people who were really high on Baker. There were people who didn't like the fact that he had the police video. There were people who didn't like the fact that it was a two-time walk-on, once at Texas Tech, once at Oklahoma. They didn't like the fact that he was undersized, was a little over cocky, had some antics on the sideline that were not that great, or it wasn't a good look there. But he showed up at the combine. He had a great interview. He impressed a lot of people, and he had a really nice workout, throwing bullets all over the field, and actually ran a pretty good 40 as well. So the Browns, is that your savior? I mean, he told everybody during the big media interviews for the draft that he could make this team, take this team back to the promise, or not, I don't know, get this team into the more of the bitter conversation out of the cellar. But he'd be the guy to save this team for sure, and definitely has the confidence to do it. So maybe they wanted the guy who's more self-confident himself in order to pull this franchise out of the dark depths that it is right now. And then we kept going. Then the draft really began after the Baker. I mean, listening to all this stuff on TV, all these pundits, talking heads, and guys, it was, I guess, it's quite a surprise that Baker went first. I was not really that surprised after seeing all the reports coming out that the quarterback from Oklahoma was going to go first. The next pick, I thought once, but I was wrong in the second pick. I started getting wrong in the second pick. I swore Giants were going to take Sam Darnold second after Baker was taken, because the Giants came out. They said that the one quarterback they did like was Sam Darnold. They have a 37-year-old quarterback in Eli Manning, but I guess they have the roster right now that they really think they can win right now if they get one more piece, and that one more piece was Saquon Barkley. They haven't had a franchise running back since Tiki Barber. So I guess in New York, you got the best running back in the draft. You got maybe the guy who's the most ready to play in the draft. He's going to come in week one and probably be a barn burner just right out of the gate. So you got to be able to got to be able to like that. If you're a Giants fan, maybe you wanted the passer, maybe you wanted the quarterback to sit behind Eli and be the next guy, but you still got Eli. You still got Eli for probably 2 or 3 more years, so maybe you can him and Saquon can do some stuff out there in New York. All right, the second New York team actually picked. This is the first time I think the 2 New York teams have picked back-to-back like this. So the second New York team actually did get Sam. The quarterback from USC, Sam Darnold, goes to the Jets. Third, I mean, good pick. I mean, I know they liked Baker Mayfield. The Jets did. That's what everybody was saying. That the Baker was the Jets' crown prince over there, but they ended up getting Sam Darnold, probably the guy who's maybe the most ready to go. They also have Teddy Bridgewater there, so I mean, if they don't really want to go with Sam right away, they can have Teddy Bridgewater go in front of him. But I think I was talking before, but if the Jets did pick Sam Darnold, if Teddy starts throwing some picks or Teddy starts underperforming, you're going to get all those rowdy Jets fans in that New York media clamoring for the young quarterback to go and maybe before he's ready. So got to be careful with that one if you're the Jets. And the first surprise maybe the second surprise if you were surprised that Baker went first, but I wasn't. It's the first surprise for me other than Saquon, but that wasn't really a big surprise because he's a great player. But the first major overall sweeping surprise was Denzel Ward going number 4 to the Cleveland Browns, their second pick in the first round. I think I'm actually not Denzel. After thinking about it for a little bit, Cleveland had a guy in Joe Hayden who was a lockdown corner. Let him go. Was getting older. Let him go. They needed to kind of replace him. They already have their first pick last year was Myles Garrett. He was their big pass rusher. If they didn't want to go Bradley Chubb, I think Denzel Ward actually is a good pick for them to be that shutdown corner over there, and that's definitely a value position. If you're not going to go pass rusher, if you're going to go defense, get a cornerback who will take away the top receiver of another team. So I mean, that's kind of that sexy pick right there, getting the cornerback over there to take care of receivers. I mean, that's kind of what you want to do. If you're not going to go defensive end or pass rusher, which is exactly what the Denver Broncos did. There were reports saying that Denver was on the phone with Nick Fitzpatrick to take him at 5, but they once they saw that the Browns passed on Bradley Chubb, they were jumping at that opportunity to get the defensive end out of NC State. Bradley Chubb going 5 to the Broncos to be on the same defensive line as Von Miller, which is going to be look out quarterbacks in the AFC West. Look out quarterbacks who have the Denver Broncos on their schedule. There's going to be 2 big guys coming after you, 2 athletic pass rushers coming after you. So, Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb looks mighty excited coming onto that draft stage, now knowing that he's going to be able to play with a guy he definitely looks up to in Von Miller. And then 6, Colts is the guy kind of had the Colts taken the whole time. Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame, the guard, the top lineman coming out into this draft, as he looks like he'll be now a protector for Andrew Luck, who has yet to throw a football. We haven't seen him throw the full size of the Duke yet. He's picked up the football yet, so we'll see how Andrew Luck is progressing along throughout the season or this offseason. Quentin Nelson goes 6 to the Colts out of Notre Dame, the guard. One of the two Notre Dame tackles. Offensive linemen. Second guy was a tackle. We'll get to him in just a second. Then the second quarterback, Josh Allen, comes off the board. So the third quarterback. Josh Allen comes off the board at number 7. The Bills trade up with the Bucks to get Josh Allen from Wyoming. This was the team that I deemed the best fit for Josh Allen was Buffalo. Has that strong arm, big hand size to be able to cut the ball through the wind up there in Buffalo. You're going to play a lot of cold weather games, obviously whether it's at home or in New England or going to play the Jets in MetLife Stadium. So it's going to be interesting to see if we ever have how soon we're going to have a Josh Allen, Sam Darnold matchup when the Bills play the Jets over there in the AFC East. So it's going to be interesting how that's going to turn out. Okay, at 8, kind of a no-brainer for the Bears, best available player and a player they were in a position they were in need of. Linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia, probably the top linebacker in this draft. Very, very versatile player, can play inside and outside out of Georgia, which is a great school. You saw him really, really ball out in that game against the Oklahoma Sooners, basically ending that game, icing that game for Georgia and moving them on to the national championship game against Alabama. So got to be a nice pick there for the Bears. Niners grab the other lineman from Notre Dame, Mike McClinchy, for offensive tackle at number 9. Great pick right there for the Niners as they want to protect their investment in Jimmy Garoppolo back there, getting him a big tackle. It looks like McGlinchey might start on the right side. They do have a guy, Trent Brown, over there, but Trent Brown looks like he's going into his free agent year, and he might be traded before even the season starts. They're already kind of fielding calls for the trade now, as McGlinchey looks like he could be plugging and playing immediately right there on the right side, and then maybe even taking over on the left side, left tackle for Staley when he is going to be done in the next few years here. All right, now number 4, number 10 is the fourth quarterback. I was saying, got a little jump the gun, but the fourth quarterback to go, and the guy who thought he should have been the first quarterback said that this was 9 mistakes. Look at his interview after the fact. 9 mistakes. Not Josh Rosen and his 9 mistakes that he deemed that will be the teams will rue the day. But Josh Rosen goes number 10 after the Cardinals trade up with the Oakland Raiders to go to 10 and get Josh Rosen. All they had to do was jump in front of Miami, or Miami would have probably snagged Josh Rosen. But Rosen is going to be in the NFC West now. As we look at the NFC West, quick little NFL thing here. You got Josh Rosen, you got Jimmy Garoppolo, you got Jared Goff, and you got another elder statesman over there, and Russell Wilson. But that's a nice quarterback group right there in that division. So you got to like that if you. It's going to be some good competition going in the NFC West there. But yeah, just a little bit about Josh Rosen. I mean, this guy never ceases to amaze me on what he can say. I mean, he showed that he was eager and ready. Like, put me on a plane right to Arizona. I want to get going right now. Let's go to Arizona. I mean, just be gracious. I'm happy to be. Like, come on, you can't just say I'm happy to be drafted by this franchise. This is a great. I mean, blah 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 blah. Say what you're supposed to say. Don't freaking. Well, you're gonna put all these other teams on notice. How many teams really needed a quarterback? I mean, yeah. At 8, they didn't need a quarterback. 6 didn't need a quarterback. 9 didn't need a quarterback. So, I mean, 9 mistakes. Maybe I could take 5 mistakes, but not even really, because you have some durability issues, and look at that. You're already pretty outspoken. So if you don't want a team that doesn't really want that in a quarterback, then there you go. 9 mistakes. Freaking Josh Rosen. It never ceases to amaze me how he can just open his mouth. We talked a lot about how Rosen and his comments on this show quite a bit over the past few weeks, and I mean, you saw he dropped like a rock. I mean, didn't drop into the 20s like you saw Aaron Rodgers drop or a Brady Quinn drop, but I mean. Because, I mean, there's just too many teams who actually did need a quarterback. I think he was not going to get past 11 with Miami. So Arizona did trade up and get him. Miami did not move. They stayed at 11, got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who many thought was going to go ahead of that, well ahead of that pick. But it was Denzel Ward who actually went as the first DB taken. Fitzpatrick can play corner, can play safety, and played Alabama. Really smart player. The only knock on him is maybe he not really a big driver to the football. More of a finesse player, kind of like uses his. I mean, obviously, smart guy, really understands the defensive concepts well, which is nice to know. But not really the big hitter that you're looking for. Also played at Alabama, which can be kind of a. Which I mean, it has its ups and downs definitely when you have a guy coming out of Alabama. Meaning that, I mean, obviously they play a lot of football games, and this guy played a lot of football games, started a lot of games for Alabama, has played a lot of snaps, there's a lot of wear and tear. But, I mean, yeah, he has all the pedigree and all the knowledge, everything, one of Nick Saban's favorite players. But they're definitely injury-prone when it comes to the fact that they just played a lot of football, and they get grinded hard down there in Tuscaloosa. So he goes 11 to the Dolphins. He'll go have some nice little time in South Beach. The other Florida team now is picking at 12 after they traded back, taking Buffalo's pick there at 12. They get Vita Vea from Washington, a very nice defensive tackle from the Pac-12, big dude in the middle, kind of that Hollerdinata mold right there. And then just as we come to the end of the segment here, I'm just going to finish the top 15 picks. Redskins get Daron Payne from Alabama, as you have another defensive player from Alabama going. Probably see a few more of those guys as they come along. Obviously, we saw, I think, We get at least two more Alabama players two more Alabama players in the first round. We'll get to those guys in just a moment, but so Devon Payne, he's a beast down in the middle there. And then the Saints picked moved up 13 picks to go to 14, jumped up to 14. They traded with Green Bay to go and get a guy who, I've read this as a heat check. I've read this as kind of a surprise. Obviously, it was a surprise pick, no doubt, but they get Marcus Davenport, an offensive end from University of Texas San Antonio. And the Saints coming off of look at their first picks last year. They got who was it? Lattimore, Marcus Lattimore. They got obviously Kamara, and then even the guy who made Williams, who made them. He was a great player over there on the side, but obviously known for that play against Stephon Diggs. And they also got a really good Ryan Ramczyk, the offensive lineman. So they got four really bang, bang, bang picks in the first four rounds last year. So they're kind of doing that heat check where whoever we pick can't do no wrong. So they move up 13 spots to get Marcus Davenport, the defensive end, a very raw talent, great upper body strength, and push off that line, stand up pass rusher on the defensive end. As I looking at his tape, he just mauls a bunch of running backs. And then at 15, the Raiders go offensive line. I think the Raiders, they were saying at 10, they really wanted McClinchy. So the Niners were going to go, if the Niners went defense, it was said that the Raiders would have gone with McClinchy. But John Gruden gets the other second best tackle. That's the guy from UCLA, and that is Colton Miller out of UCLA, guy who was a tackle for Josh Rosen. All right. A little long on the first segment there. We're going to come back in just a moment. We'll finish out these rest of these picks as we're going through the first round here. I'm giving my thoughts and probably just wrap it up with the last two segments. We'll probably talk about just my overall thoughts on the draft in the third segment. In the final segment, we're going to preview the second and third round that are going to be happening today. All right, I'll be right back after these messages.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Oh, welcome back. GSMC Football Podcast. We're going over the draft. We're talking about all these college players that just got picked into the NFL with their respective teams, the teams that deemed them fit to be picked by them in the first round of the NFL draft. We finished off with the 15th pick. That was Colton Miller to the Raiders. 16, Buffalo actually traded back up into the draft. They had Buffalo had a gaggle of picks, a ton of picks, especially after they, even though they traded up into that seventh pick from, what were they? I think they were at 12. When they traded up into that 16th pick as they got Baltimore's pick there to get Tremaine Edmonds, who actually I thought could have gone a lot sooner, definitely dropped. And that was probably due to the fact that these quarterbacks were dropping as these guys all kind of got spread. I mean, we could have thought that the quarterbacks could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4. But Cleveland kept their pick at 4. I mean, everybody kind of kept their pick. We didn't have our first trade till 7, even though we thought maybe we could have had a lot more trades in between. But yeah, definitely interesting to have the fact that, no trades till 7. So now at 16, Tremaine Edmonds could have been earlier, but another trade. Buffalo gets back up to 16, gets the linebacker from Virginia Tech. Cool note about him. His brother actually is also a top prospect, and I'm going to be saying his name in just a moment here. So be on the lookout. That's the first time two brothers have been taken in the first round. Both went to Virginia Tech. That was the linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds. He's a young kid. I mean, he's a raw talent, 19 years old. One of the youngest players, the youngest player to be picked in the NFL draft since 2007. And Buffalo takes him as he's a long-armed running back, lanky running back there. Doesn't really have much downhill push to him, but more lateral, more of a grabby kind of player where he's going to use those long arms to wrap around ball carriers and pull him down a little bit better as he's going to be diagnosing different plays. But good sideline, not much drive down the field. But he's 19, raw talent, can definitely be learning that stuff. And then another guy who probably was thinking, a lot of teams and a lot of analysts were thinking might have gone earlier in the draft as well, even up to number 9 or 8 with the Bears and Niners. But both those guys, the Bears, once Quentin Nelson, once Roquan Smith dropped to the Bears, that was pretty much a no-brainer. But Niners could have got him. Raiders could have got him at 15. But Derwin James at 17 from Florida State, the safety, has a lot of qualities, a lot of Jalen Ramsey qualities, but he did drop down to the Chargers at 17. Out of Florida State, going to be a great little safety there for the Chargers and good value pick for them at 17. 18, the Packers traded down. So the Packers traded down, actually, it looks like they went back up as they did give away their pick to the Saints to go back to the Saints pick, but then the Packers went right back up, trading with Seattle, and got Jair Alexander cornerback from Louisville. So the second cornerback in the draft to go is the guy out of Louisville. Even though Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's listed as a safety, can play corner, can play the slot corner. So there's a couple defensive backs as back-to-back defensive backs go. The Cowboys get Leighton Vander Esch from Boise State, another big linebacker out of there, and guy who definitely is going to be a sure tackler down the Cowboys. They were kind of excited for that pick. As you could tell, they had been eyeing this guy the whole time. Lions go we have back-to-back centers actually go. Frank Ragnow goes to the Lions out of Arkansas. Billy Price out of Ohio State goes to the Bengals. Back-to-back centers. Tennessee Titans take Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama. You saw him in the national championship game. He's a great player. As another Alabama talent goes out. Patriots, the Patriots got the 23rd pick from the Rams, who got Brandon Cooks. So Patriots picking the 23rd, got Isaiah Wynn from Georgia, another offensive tackle. A guy Belichick probably liked. Belichick is a defensive guy, but also is a big. Had to replace Nate Solder, who went over to the Giants. So Georgia, another pick for them, as they get their offensive tackle Isaiah Wynn picked to go to the Patriots. First receiver off the board from Maryland, a guy, not the biggest guy, but definitely a guy who's one of the fastest, as he is definitely going to be a killer in the slot. The Panthers take DJ Moore out of Maryland, the speedy. I wouldn't call him undersized. We're kind of going to the shorter receivers now these days. Anyways, I was just said Brandon Cook's another top receiver, but DJ Moore is going to be kind of that same mold. He'll be going to Carolina out of Maryland. Then the Baltimore Ravens did trade back. They got back So they went back from Tennessee. They were at 22, gave Tennessee the 22nd pick, and now they're back at 25. Got Hayden Hurst, the first tight end, to go off the board at 25. The Ravens need. The Ravens, that was definitely a desperate need for them. After Dennis Pitta, a good tight end for them, is now in the later stages of his career. And Hayden Hurst is going to be that tight end, the young tight end out of South Carolina. His highlights look really good. Can catch pretty much anything. Got soft hands, can block, can chip block, has the strength and upper body strength to do that, but obviously has the catching ability to be a nice option for. Well, we're going to get there. It's going to be Joe Flacco. Is it going to be their quarterback they picked at the end of the draft? Hint, hint, who they pick at the end of the draft. We're going to get there in just a second. Atlanta Falcons, Calvin Ridley out of Alabama, the fourth Alabama player to go in the first round. Calvin Ridley is going to go to the Falcons and play receiver for them as they get another compliment for Julio Jones. The second running back, kind of a surprise. Not a guy I talked about that much at all in this show, actually, but I did kind of mention him just at the end there. But he is an absolute record breaker. Has a play. The guy gets yards. He did play at a smaller school in a smaller conference. That's Rashard Penny out of San Diego State, but he broke a lot of records. And like I said, got some serious yardage down there in his tenure at San Diego State. Seattle Seahawks take Rashard Penny at 27. And then one of the best moments of the draft happened to the 28th pick. You had the Pittsburgh Steelers picking at 28, and their linebacker, Ryan Shazier, who we all know took a nasty hit last year and was in the hospital for quite some time. Ryan Shazier walked onto the stage yesterday, folks. It was quite a moment. It was you could see it in everybody. The analysts, the fans, I mean, all these teams had 50 season ticket holders who were chosen to sit in the front part of the stage, or front part of the hall there, well, the stadium, right up next to the stage when in that AT&T Stadium. And there was tears everywhere as Ryan Shazier walked his way with the help of his girlfriend out to the stage to deliver, or to actually announce, the 28th pick and the first round selection for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was the other Edmonds brother, Terrell Edmonds, the safety out of Virginia Tech. So both Edmonds brothers go in the first round, and it was quite a moment. I mean, Terrell Edmonds, they asked him after the fact, actually, he was very, very humbled to the fact that he was the guy that Ryan Shazier said when he called his name. He said it was a great honor. That was a great moment, seeing Shazier being able to, it was gingerly, but walk out onto that stage and then walk back. It was really powerful, and the fact that guy was having some, obviously, definitely issues, paralyzed in the bed, didn't have feelings in some of most of his extremities after that hit, and then obviously gaining some of them back, and then getting that work in to be able to walk on the stage is pretty amazing. So one of the highlights of the draft came there near the end with the Pittsburgh Steelers pick. And then at 29, Jaguars take Taven Bryan, the defensive tackle out of Florida, very talented guy, big tackle defensive tackle out of Florida, can definitely be a disruptive force in the middle of that line. 30 Minnesota Vikings take the cornerback out of UCF. That's Mike Hughes. Patriots 31. They take another third running back. We still haven't even said Darius Geis. I thought Darius Geis was a sure win for that second running back pick, but I thought maybe he still would drop to the second round. But I didn't think that we'd already have three running backs in the first round. The Patriots take Sony Michel with their second pick in the first round. It was the 31st pick overall. Sony Michel, you know how high I am on Sony Michel. I love Sony Michel. And him in New England being able to be an option for Tom Brady out of the backfield, kind of being that replacement for Deion Lewis, who went to the Titans. So I like that. If you're Patriots fans, look forward to seeing Sony Michel in the Patriots uniform. Not really my favorite thing, because I'm not really that I'm a Patriots supporter, but we're impartial. You got to like the fact that Sony goes in the first round. Great pick right there, and kind of a surprise pick, but I like that pick. The Patriots definitely needed a running back just like that, and they got one in Sony Michel. Then, the 32nd pick, just as we thought we weren't going to have another quarterback, like I said, who's going to throw to that tight end they got? Hayden Hurst. The Ravens pick again. They trade back into the 32nd round. They get it from Philadelphia. Get back into the first round with a 32nd pick, and they pick Lamar Jackson. There he is, folks. He did not drop into the second round. He didn't have to wait till day 2. He's in his green tux, sitting there the whole time that first round, waiting. When you're getting through these 30th picks, 31st picks, you got to be thinking, I'm gonna have to come back here tomorrow. What's going on? What's happening? And then you get the Ravens trading back into the first round, taking that pick from the Eagles, and then you're like, what's going to happen? they traded back in. You don't have to trade back in for nothing. And they get Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson, maybe the heir apparent for Joe Flacco there, as Joe Flacco has not really lived up to the hype that the fans even the coaching staff and the front office in Baltimore have wanted ever since he won the Super Bowl a few years ago, got that big contract. So we'll see how fast Lamar sees the field. I think he's probably a year out or two. But we've always seen now that Deshaun Watson's kind of killed the fact that spread quarterbacks don't really work in the NFL. But I mean, Lamar Jackson definitely a guy who can make a difference, but needs to put the pounds on a little bit. Maybe go on that Ray Lewis workout plan. Get the big muscles. But he's got the little stick legs sometimes, but not sometimes. Right now, but I think it's a good pick for the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's going to be the next quarterback of the future, and they're going to really move away from the big burly quarterback or the big deep ball throwing quarterback, and then get more of a speed quarterback who can run and also throw more over the middle, shorter passing game now, and kind of change that team for the better. It'd be interesting, yeah. Especially out of Louisville. I mean, he did run a kind of pro style offense, especially that his last year with Bobby Petrino. So I mean, he's definitely got the ideas, got the more of the tools and the experience that you would want going into the NFL, more than just like a credible spread college quarterback. So I mean, they kind of did run a kind of a quasi pro style there at Louisville as well his last season. So, and he actually put up better numbers last year than he did his Heisman Trophy year. So you got to like that if you're the Ravens, and if you're a Ravens fan, you got the guy who, I don't know if you wanted him. If you were thinking that you're going to get him. I know there were talks that maybe he would go to Jacksonville at 29, but they passed on him. They got a defensive tackle. He drops to 32. Ravens go up and snag him, as I think actually they had to, because if you look at who's picking first today, actually Friday, second and third rounds today, you got Cleveland and New York just again, boom, boom, in that with the first two picks in the second round, and the Giants probably may have just went, ooh, we wanted him at 34, but nope, the Ravens trade up and snag him right there at the end of that first round. So you gotta like that. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back, and I'll give you kind of my just overview, talking about the entire draft, the first round as a whole, and then in the final segment of the show today, we're gonna go over and preview the second and third rounds. We'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, GSMC Football Podcast, the college football edition. We're doing a little more draft stuff today due to the fact that it's a mesh point. Like I said, it's college football going to the NFL. It's all in the good. It's all good now. It's all in the family. Everybody's all coming together. We got 4 Alabama players going in the first round. We had, for the first time ever, we had 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10. It took till the 10th pick to figure that out. Arizona trading up to get Josh Rosen at 10. Josh Rosen having his little comments. I mean, you didn't see any. He was the only one who really made some comments that were worth memorable, really. In fact, 9 mistakes. There were 9 mistakes ahead of me. So okay, just be happy. You're going to Arizona. You're going to sit behind Sam Bradford. You might actually start playing sooner rather than later because of the brittle factor of Sam Bradford. I mean, we put it at over 10. I mean, 10 games over under, see how long Sam Bradford can last. But I mean, honestly, Sam Bradford is the best thing that ever is going to happen to Josh Rosen, because he is a future coach. He's always had a kind of a coach's mentality. He's also a first round pick. First overall pick. So he knows about the hype, knows about being the guy. So he's going to be a good mentor. The only thing is, Josh Rosen, the problem, he's had a history of and had issues listening to coaches and kind of being his own guy. Definitely, I mean, I don't know if we talk about cockiness. Honestly, if you think about personality-wise, that's, I think, why he dropped so far. I mean, even watching the guy in the green room waiting for his name to be called, he was kind of had a scowl on his face the whole time. He said, dude, did you listen to the people? Did you watch any of the pre-draft shows? Did you look at any of the mock drafts? You weren't going in the top 3. You weren't. Baker got shoved up to the top 3 because he has the same kind of confidence you do, but he's not mean about it. He's not like, he actually puts a smile on his face. You can go watch I think, honestly, there's a lot of reasons why Baker Mayfield got picked first. Other than the fact John Dorsey knew a while ago, I guess. But, I mean, Baker has his own little show. I mean, he's kind of like, he's copying Tom Brady. He's got his own little show on that Facebook Live. He's got behind Baker, what's it called, where he's making himself look really good. A family man, lots of friends. People like him. He can bring people together. I think Josh Rosen can maybe be like a wedge in the locker room. He's going to call people out. He's not going to be like, hey, buddy, hey, let's hang out. He's going to be like, don't bother me. I'm Josh Rosen. Don't bother me. Which is why I think he might drop. Which is why I think he did drop. I mean, that's why I think even the Giants, Denver passed on him. It was the Giants and Denver. Bills were always going to go Josh Allen. I think the Bills wanted Josh Allen. They liked Josh Allen. He fits that stadium. He fits that city really well. The weather, he fits it all. I think Josh Rosen honestly got the best bet he could have gotten, because basically it was either playing in cold Mile High Denver, which would have been, that would have been okay for him, playing for the Giants or playing for the Bills, all in open, cold weather stadiums. So now you're going to be going not too far from home, just down to Arizona, in the desert, in a dome stadium. You're going to play a game in you're going to play 2 games in California. You're going to play a game in your hometown of Los Angeles every year. You're going to play up in Santa Clara every year. Your only real bad weather game every year maybe is if it starts raining in Seattle when you go play there. That's about it. And then however it fills out for the rest of the schedule, the other, 5 games? You play 8 home games. You play 3 games away against your division. That's 11. Yeah. So, 5 more games. You figure that out. Yeah. I think he's fine. He should be very happy to go play in Arizona. I get it. He's like, I can't wait. Just put me on a plane. Let's go. Let's go to Arizona right now. Yeah, because you want to get the heck out of the draft. Get the heck out of Dallas, where you were sitting there for brooding for 10 picks. It's like, after the third pick, I was in a haze. I didn't even get what was happening. It's like, how could this possibly happen to me? Get off your high horse. Sam Darnold was always going to be was the more higher rated quarterback than you. And now you get to prove everybody wrong, just like you wanted to. Go play in Arizona. You got a good running back coming back. And David Johnson was your security blanket if you do see the field this year and then next year as well. You got Larry Fitzgerald. You had a decent defense with Patrick Peterson leading that defense. So what's wrong? What's wrong, buddy? You can be the next guy in Arizona. They haven't had a guy like this since. Their last big quarterback pick was Matt Leinart out of your rival school. But the knock on Josh Rosen is, didn't beat USC this at all in his career. Didn't honestly win that many games in his career, but that's maybe a product of playing at UCLA. But I've watched this guy since he was in high school at St. John Bosco, and he beat up on De La Salle. And De La Salle is a very, 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 very good football program out of Concord, private school out of Concord. I mean, St. John Bosco beat them up in the state championship game probably was that 4 or 5 years ago. Josh, prove everybody wrong. You're playing in the NFC West now. You got to go. You're going to be battling out with Jimmy G and Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, going up against the Rams defense. Have fun with that one. Prove everybody wrong. Prove everybody wrong there. I think the biggest surprise of the draft was the Browns picking Denzel Ward, number 4. There was already. I don't think Baker Mayfield is deemed as the biggest surprise because he was. There was already reports coming out a couple days before the draft that he would have been. They were leaning towards him being picked number 1. It's just. It's probably the first time. It's got to be the first time ever, right? That a guy who was. First round picks usually are top recruits out of high school, like Josh Rosen, like Sam Darnold, all 4 or 5 star recruits out of high school, going to big schools, highly touted, get the pick of the litter, pick over what they wanted to go to college. Sam Darnold, you could commend Baker Mayfield as much as you want when it comes to he fought for his position. He's a winner. He was able to beat out 2 guys who both had scholarships as a walk-on. That's great. But, there's a reason why he wasn't rated that high out of high school. There's a reason why he had to walk on twice. There's a reason why he had to leave Texas Tech to go to another Big 12 school and play against Big 12 teams that don't really play defense. Look at his there's a lot of knocks on Baker Mayfield. I think my two guys were Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold, but even Sam Darnold has his red flags too with the fact that he turns the ball over a lot, which is a big problem in the NFL. But you can probably teach that where he's going to be able to be forced to keep that ball tight in on him. A lot of interceptions are one thing, but fumbles are another thing. Fumbles are definitely preventable. You can't run around with the ball hanging out on the side of your body. You got to keep that thing tucked in. So he'll learn that. But in the interceptions, Brett Favre threw a lot of interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger throws a lot of interceptions. You can teach that too, honestly. But interceptions aren't the end all be all. You got to be able to not fumble the ball. More ball security, which is what this is why Josh Allen was up there in the draft board, because he's hand size and he could take hits and he's got to be able to have the mitts on the ball. if you watched the draft yesterday, look at Troy Aikman. That guy's got massive hands. Massive hands, and that's one of the reasons. That's why they like hand size, and that's why you even saw Josh Allen's name up there ahead of Rosen and Darnold, and even Baker at certain points in this process leading up to the draft. But we all know now, Baker to the Browns, Josh Allen to the Bills, Josh Rosen to the Cardinals, and then the Jets end up with Sam Darnold, and that's gonna be interesting to see. Jets. We had there's a couple dysfunctional franchises in there. There's 2, and then there's 2 who I think people who actually got out the best are Josh Allen playing in Buffalo. He's gonna be I think he's a great fit for Buffalo. And then also Josh Rosen, I think, got out the best playing in Arizona because A, weather, stadium, where you are, and B, better pedigree of a franchise. 2 or 3 years ago, these guys were 13-3 playing for an NFC Championship game. So they have the weapons and they have the organizational ability with that franchise to do good things. And then also the Bills made the playoffs last year too. So if you're Rosen, if you're Darnold and you're Mayfield, you're kind of the saviors for 2 franchises that have been mired in some serious crud for the foreseeable past. And looking back, the Jets did have some good years when they had Sanchez and a great defense with Rex Ryan, but that was short-lived, and the Browns haven't had squats in a long time. As they look to have Baker Mayfield be their guy. We'll see how that turns out. Interesting. All right. As we come to the end of this third segment already. We were rolling on. We were chugging along here on this round one rewind of the GSMC football podcast. I'm just looking at my draft board here. Next up, the next segment, we're definitely going to be going and talking about who's the best available for the second round and the third round. We still got running backs available. We still got quarterbacks available. I mean, there's talent all over the place. I don't know if we're going to see a quarterback in the second round. Maybe Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State. But there's going to be your value picks are coming in this round. These two rounds is where you see, honestly, the most talent. The first round is kind of a bigger or boom or bust kind of thing where you're going to see guys who are going to be top. I mean, you look through these drafts, you see Pro Bowlers all over the place, but it's pretty much 60-40 or even half and half sometimes where you're going to have boom or bust versus guys in the third or in the second round, you're going to have more value picks. We're going to see, obviously, there's going to be big guys coming out. We had a third round or fourth round pick last year. Late picks and Alvin Kamara come out last year, who was a big boom. But you're going to see a lot more value picks where guys or teams are going to really find needs. First round is more best available pick. Who's the best talent available? I know we had actually a lot of teams fit needs in this first round as well. But that second and third rounds really we're going to see, okay, we need to fill this position. We need to fill this position. We did have 3 running backs taken in the first round. We'll see how many we get taken in the second and third round. I know I have my favorites. We had 2 of my favorite guys, or actually, well, I don't know. Saquon was obviously one of my favorite guys, but Sonny Michel got taken by the Patriots in that first round. So did Rashad Penny to the Seattle Seahawks. So we still got Darius Geis out there. You still got Ronald Jones Jr. You still got Nick Chubb out there. So I'll give you my thoughts on maybe where they're going to land as we'll look at the draft order for the second round. I know there's going to be we're probably going to see some more trades in that second round. So we'll talk about all that when we come back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, welcome back. Final segment here. GSMC Football Podcast. Draft 1 rewind here on a Friday as we are talking about round 1 of the NFL draft this entire episode. Now we're going to get to round 2 and 3 that are going to be going on today back down in Arlington at Dallas Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, the Jerry Mahal, where you want to call it. It was crazy down there. You see, I mean, if you guys watched the draft, but I advise you to go at least look at the pictures of the stays, look at the pictures of what they've built up. The NFL definitely knows how to put a show on, as Jerry World looks pretty cool for the drafts going on right now in 2018 here, as we're picking the best college players and fitting them into the teams in our favorite teams in the NFL. All right, second round coming up here. Obviously, Cleveland is going to have that obviously they're going to have that first pick in the second round, just as they had the first pick in the third round. In the first round, we saw the Ravens trade up and snag Lamar Jackson with the last pick in the third round. I keep saying third round. In the first round. The last pick in the first round, Ravens went up and got Lamar Jackson out of Louisville. So I think that because you have Browns, it goes Browns, Giants, Browns, Colts, Colts, which is kind of an interesting order there in this second round. The second round is really weird how it comes out the way it happens. So Obviously, this is probably a lot. Usually, a lot of second round picks get traded, a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I know the Browns have both Houston, because Houston gave Cleveland a bunch of picks back when they traded in the past. That may have been even the Brock Osweiler trade. So Houston gave their first and second pick away. That's why so Houston traded their second round selection and a sixth round selection from last year for quarterback Brock Osweiler, and then they also Houston had the first round selection. Yeah, so that was last year when they traded a first round and their 16, so to get up to 12. It was two different trades. Browns and Houston made two different trades that allowed the Browns to get Houston's first and second round pick this year. So it was the Deshaun Watson, when they picked Deshaun Watson to get up to 12 from the Browns last year. And then in that Brock Osweiler trade allowed the Browns to get that pick in the second round from Houston. It ended up both being pretty high picks, as Houston, after the Deshaun Watson injury last year, went pretty much in the tank and finished pretty terribly. So that's why Cleveland's back in that third pick now. Yeah, so there's going to be Cleveland Giants, Cleveland Colts. And we'll see if the Colts want to trade, because obviously the Colts got that second pick from the Jets anyways. It's a weird order. I don't know. The Niners I know don't have. They traded the next trade. That was the next trade up is the Patriots at 43. We got the pick from the Niners for Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's the Jimmy Garoppolo trade right there. As the Patriots will be picking to have the 43rd pick overall. That's going to be the 10th pick in the second round. All right. We'll see how it goes there. I mean, yeah, I think Lamar Jackson wouldn't have been on the board if he lasted to today. He would have been gone pretty quickly. Whether it would have been, I think the Giants may have snagged him, or maybe even Denver at 40, it would have snagged him too. So that's why you saw the Ravens jump up into that second round, or into the end of that first round from Philadelphia. What did they give up for that? They gave up their Philadelphia gave up their first round and their fourth round selection to Baltimore in exchange for Baltimore's second and fourth round selection and a second round next year. So Baltimore gave up their this year's and next year's second round pick, and then also a fourth round pick this year. So they basically just swapped fourth round picks, and then Philly got an extra second round pick next year and this year. So yeah, we're not going to have the Baltimore won't be picking in the second round unless they trade back in, of course, which is always a possibility. So yeah, looks interesting. Where's Darius Guice going to go? I think that he would have been a good fit in Baltimore. I think he would be a good fit in San Francisco. I think the Niners are destined to trade up. They have a bunch of picks later in the draft. I don't think they're going to stay at 59 right now. That's like the 25th pick, 26th pick in the second round. So, or 27th pick in the second round. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to stay there. I think they're definitely going to be. Yeah, I think they're going to be sitting somewhere closer up. Maybe even trade a couple picks. They're probably going to trade Trent Brown after getting Mike McGlinchey, and trade Trent Brown, maybe package some picks up to get up into that second earlier in the second round. I think to get a running back, or to get somewhere. Just talk about this little Niners section here. I'm just looking at the board and trying to make some speculations here as we're picking the rest of this draft out. Mason Rudolph, I think the Dolphins could get him maybe at 42, unless they want to wait. Patriots could get him at 43 in that second round pick, because that's the one they gave up Jimmy Garoppolo for. As I was saying, he's a guy who probably needs to sit behind somebody for quite a while. But yeah, Mason Rudolph sitting behind Tom Brady wouldn't be a bad pick at all, if you are a Patriots fan, that is. But yeah, interesting as the second round is going to transpire here. We're going to see a lot of value names come off the board. As your best available probably Nick Chubb, also another guy who's best available. We've seen the best available top names that are going to be coming off in the second round, as Nick Chubb, Darius Geis, and Mason Rudolph all await for their names to be called by the commissioner. I don't know. Does the commissioner even do the second round? I know he does, obviously, the first round. We'll see if he comes out for this. I know they eventually get to they usually have like ex-players or legends announce the later round picks for the team, because this goes on. Obviously, we have 7 rounds total, and a couple compensation picks at the end of that 6th round and the 5th round. They're all those compensatory picks at the end of starting at the end of the 3rd round. Actually, we're gonna have a few compensation picks that extend those rounds a little bit longer. So, just looking at my draft board here, just want to look. If we want to talk more about the first round, obviously Saquon is probably going to be the guy that jumps right in and sets the world on fire. The Giants, going to be interesting to see how they use him, or whether he's going to be a guy that Eli relies on quickly. I know he's been welcomed already by most of the big Giants names. Just looking at the rest of the names here, a lot of talent in that first round. A lot of talent. I know we saw Tremaine Edmonds did drop a little bit. We saw Christian Kirk, actually, is another name who we thought maybe was going to be called in the first round, but he's yet to be called. Maybe I think he actually now is probably going to be closer to the third round pick. As he also, he was the guy who was supposed to extend that streak for the Bears. Not the Bears, the A&M Aggies to have first round selections. I think they had a first round selection 5 or 6 years in a row. So they had Von Miller. They had obviously Myles Garrett last year, to name a couple. Johnny Manziel, but no Aggies in the first round. As Christian Kirk still waits his name. It was actually the first receiver selected was DJ Moore, 24th overall to the Panthers out of Maryland. He's going to be cool. He's going to be a good little receiver. If you watched the NFL Network coverage yesterday, they have Steve Smith, who obviously is a legendary receiver for the Panthers. Also played a couple of years. Where did he go? Oh, Baltimore. Went to Baltimore for a few years also after leaving Carolina. But he was a guy who just said that he came out and said he's he's a smart guy. Obviously he knows his talent when he sees it, but he's also a pretty confident guy in his own talents and likes himself and the way he played. But he said that if there was going to be a new me, this is me right here, DJ Moore, the new Steve Smith in Carolina, said by Steve Smith himself. So you got to like that if you're a Panthers fan. A new weapon for Cam Newton to use out there in the East Coast and in Carolina. All right, out in Charlotte. I was trying to think, where are they playing? Charlotte, Carolina Panthers. All right, second round, So we're probably gonna see some trades. I don't see the Colts picking back to back. You're gonna probably move one of those picks. Maybe it's Cleveland as well in that second round. It'd be interesting to see. See some value guys going in that second round. But those are the big names coming up. We're still waiting. There's obviously, you got the guys like BJ Hill out of NC State, who's waiting to call his name called. I did go over some of the guys in the previous shows who are definitely going to be some value picks probably here in the second round that could have been first round talents, but sometimes there's just not enough picks to be had for everybody to go in the second round. As there's going to be some guys. I know the Eagles are looking for a running back in the second round. Maybe Darius Geis drops to them, or they trade up. These teams always move around. So Eagles got that second round pick, remember, from Baltimore. So they are going to have that second. They're going to have the 52nd pick overall right there. Maybe Geis drops to them as well. Most teams, the Buccaneers looking for a running back. I could see them getting a Nick Chubb or Darius Geis there at 38. That'd be the 6th pick in the first round. Yes. 6th pick in the first round. And the second round there, 38th overall. Tampa Bay. The Colts could use a running back, honestly, with one of those picks. So you could see a couple running backs go quickly in this first round. Also, the Giants maybe even looking like maybe they get a Mason Rudolph in the second round as well. So lots to speculate. The draft, I think the second round starts a little bit earlier today. It's going to be going. Yesterday it started at 5 Pacific time, 8 Eastern, as we are obviously, it is being broadcast live from Texas. Let's see, what time does this start today? Everybody tune into your favorite channels. It's going to be on. So, I mean, if you don't have any, if you don't have ESPN or NFL Network, just want to let you guys know Fox is doing they're doing the same they use the same broadcast as the NFL Network broadcast. That's why you saw Troy Aikman on there yesterday on the NFL Network. If you're watching on the NFL Network, because Fox now has the deal for the draft, on the regular Fox, your local Fox station is going to have the NFL draft. If you don't have ESPN, if you just have basic cable or such, with or you don't want to watch the ESPN pundit dudes, even though actually I'm starting to think that ESPN might be. The only thing I liked about NFL Network is the fact they have two desks basically. They got Mooch and they got an outdoor desk with Mooch, Steve Mariucci, and Aikman outside, and a couple other guys out there. And they have also inside. They have Rich Eisen, and they got David Shaw, who's one of my favorite coaches, if not my favorite coach in college football, Stanford head coach, along with Mike Mayock and Daniel Jeremiah. So Mike Mayock, he kept saying, that guy, I don't know how many times that guy was wrong yesterday in the first round. Every time they thought their pick was going to go, he was right a couple times, but he was wrong a lot too, especially with his predictions on when Lamar Jackson was going to get picked. It's all speculation. You never know what's going to happen, really. All right. I think it's going 4 o'clock today. Yeah, 4 o'clock. NFL draft. Second round is going to be going. So, yeah, that's on ESPN. And then also on NFL Network and on Fox. So if you guys want to watch that, it'll be on there. All right. As we come to the end of the show today, we did go over pretty much all the first round, speculate a little bit of the second round, went over where I think guys are going to go, what teams they're going to need, and some comments that Josh Rosen made at the end of the draft there after he got picked. So he looks like he's ready to go to Arizona, and he's probably already there right now as we speak. So till next weekend, everybody enjoy the rest of the draft. I told you where you can watch it if you're looking for a channel, and we'll talk more about it in the completion of the draft on Monday in this show, and then we'll be going back to the campus pretty much for the rest of this time as the draft will be over, and I'll be stuck on campus, which is fine because we're going to get at the end of spring football here and heading into the more of the quiet season between spring football and then training camp coming in. But there's always stuff going on, and we'll be here to cover it for you. So until then, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.